kupandisha OTT. Oye, mpaka huko mbele. Asha ingia. Zaki anaingia pale mbele.
Nchi ambayo kuna raha na ustawi na inawezekana.
Leo ni leo.
Ndoto yao ambayo walisema Mungu bariki nchi hii yetu ya Kenya, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, tukae na ndugu.
Sasa nataka kwanza kutoa shukrani kwenu kutusindikiza kutoka kule juu mpaka hapa. Leo tumepitisha kwa mahakama mambo yetu yote huko. Sasa sasa mpira imeingia katika kidoli ya mahakama. Sasa tunataka ukweli itoke. Tuko na ushahidi wa kutosha ya kueleza wale wezi
wanajaribu kuiba ushindi wetu. Hatutakubali. Wakenya hawezi kukubali. Tutamanyana nao. Sawa. Sasa tunataka kuongea na dunia mzima. Mimi na Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka na Mama Martha Karua. Sawa. Mimi walikuwa wanafikiri ni mchezo, lakini sio mchezo. Haki ya Wakenya haiwezi kuibwa na wale wezi. Tumepata ushahidi ambayo itaibisha kila mtu. Nataka kama Wakenya msimame imara vile mmesimama imara tangu mwanzo. Ukweli itatoka na ukweli itapata nyinyi uhuru. The truth shall set you free. Tumeelewana vizuri? Tumeelewana vizuri? Wacha Kalonzo na Martha wasalimu nyinyi kidogo.
Check one.
Azimio inawezekana na itawezekana. Tulisema tangu mwanzo, ours is victory deferred, but it is coming home. Tumepeleka kesi mahakamani, ni kesi yenye ushahidi wa hali ya juu. Kama senior counsel nawaambia, ile kesi tuko nayo ni yenye nguvu kabisa. Sasa kwa vile iko kwa koti, tutangojea uamuzi. Lakini ni muhimu wananchi wajue ni nini tunasema. Tunasema ile ilifanyika ni uhalifu wa hali ya juu, criminal enterprise. Chebukati willfully akafungua servers, akapatia watu wa deputy president of an outgoing regime. Wakaingia huko, wakafanya zile numbers wanataka, wakaharibu ushindi wetu, wakaweka namba za badia. Kwanza tuseme kwa wananchi, asanti kwa kutuchagua kifujo. Zile zimeibiwa ni kura zenu, ni ushindi wenu. Na sisi lazima tuende mbele kutafuta ushindi wenu, sababu sisi ndio tunamwakilisha. Tuko na imani tutafaulu, na yale uamuzi wa koti, hiyo ndio itakuwa ni ya mwisho. Lakini kama wakili ni muhakikishie kesi ni sawa sawa. Na niseme tuko na bahati sana. Mungu ametupatia kiongozi mwenye nguvu. Kiongozi mwenye nguvu. Kiongozi ambaye hachoki. anasema mpaka Wakenya wafike Canaan, hawezi kuchoka. Na Canaan tutafika. Asanteni sana, wacha ndugu yangu awasalimie.
Wakenya wenzangu, Azimio inawezekana. Azimio na iliwezekana na Chebukati akaiba. Sasa mumesikia mazungumzo mengine kwa lugha ya Kimombo. Mtaniwia radhi, leo nilikuwa nimevalia kama wakili senior counsel. Mimi sitaki baba aibiwe nikiona. Sitaki baba na mother waibiwe nikiona na nikiwa hai. Sitaki kuona nchi yetu ikinyakuliwa na majabali nikiwa hai. Sasa tusikilizane, tuwe macho. Tumewasilisha kwa mahakama kesi ambayo kama dada Madha ameelezea nzito, hata nzito kushinda 2017. Ni nzito. Ushahidi utakaopelekwa, utakaotolewa, utashangaza Kenya na ulimwengu mzima. Yaani nchi yetu imetekwa nyara na watu wasiokuwa wananchi wa Kenya. Wangapi wanasema tunakataa kutekwa nyara? Kwa hivyo vile national anthem yetu, wimbo wa taifa unavyosema, justice be our shield and our defender. Kwa hivyo Wakenya tujue, kama justice itang'olewa na kuibiwa, basi ulinzi wetu utatoka wapi? Mimi, like the psalmist in the Bible, our victory and our strength will come from the hills, from the mountains. Lakini majaji wa mahakama kuu hatuwezi tukazungumza zaidi, kwa sababu tayari tumewakilisha kesi mbele yao. Let justice be our shield and our defender. Mukitoa justice tutakuwa Wakenya watakuwa defenseless. Na kwa hivyo tunawahakikishieni. Allow me to speak in a bit of English. I want to talk. I want to address the foreign missions and embassies accredited to this wonderful nation. We see that most of you were observers, but some of you were weak to tweet even before the results were known. Some of you took sides. One of them told me, watu wako wametupa viti juu ya kichwa changu. We want them to remain neutral. Kenya is for Kenyans. Kenya is for Kenyans. We shall never compromise our national sovereignty for a song or whatever. So let them wait now. Let them wait. Those who are quick to celebrate, those who are quick to even send messages of congratulations, you will now stand properly advised. Let the legal process take shape. In the meantime, tunauliza watu wetu to remain calm but vigilant. Calm but vigilance. Calm but vigilant. Tulinde yale ambayo Mungu ametupatia kama nchi ya Kenya. Nataka ni mshukuru ndugu yangu mkubwa Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kusimama wima, na dada yangu Martha Karua ambaye ni senior counsel ameangalia hiyo case mpaka akaweka sahihi. Basi msiwe na wasiwasi, mwishowe tuwe tayari. tuwe tayari kabisa, na tusiogope yeyote ila tu Mwenyezi Mungu. Mimi Buffalo Soldier niko tayari, niko tayari. Wangapi wako tayari? Asanteni, Mungu abariki.
Haya, haya. Sasa mimi Kalonzo na Martha tunataka kuongea na ulimwengu mzima. Kuna waandishi wa habari tayari wako hapa ndani, unataka tuongee na wao. Mtaturuhusu tuende tuongee na wao, sawa sawa? Lakini tunasema vile Kalonzo na Martha wamesema, tumesema ya kwamba kuna ushahidi ya kutosha kuonyesha ya kwamba wageni walitolewa nje. Wale watu kutoka Venezuela ndio waliletwa hapa ni kujaribu kuiba ushindi wetu, lakini haitawezekana. Nataka wananchi wasimame, wakae macho na msimame baki imara, sawa sawa. Tuna hakika haki na ukweli itatendeka mahakamani, sawa sawa. Nataka muwe na subira, lakini mtasikia wakianza kuongea kule ndani ya mahakama, na nyinyi vile vile mbaki hapa chonjo, sawa sawa. Asanteni. Azimio, Azimio, Azimio. Asante sana.
Na inawezekana.
Inawezekana.
Wananchi wote tusalie hapa, tupatie viongozi nafasi.
Ikiwa tunatazamia kuhutubiwa na kiongozi mpendwa wa Azimio la Umoja aliyepigiwa kura kwa mpigo na wananchi wa Kenya kama rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Injinia Daktari Raila Amolo Odinga, naibu wake Bi Martha Karua, pamoja na viongozi wengine. Waandishi wa habari wote, nitawaomba siku ya leo hatutakuwa na kamera hapa, na niombe maafisa wa usalama kamera zote zilizo hapa zielekee pande ile. Na huo ndio mpangilio wa siku ya leo, kwa heshima na taadhima kuu. Sote tuwe sehemu moja kwa sababu ya usalama wako na wetu na wa kila mmoja aliye hapa. Pili, niombe viongozi waliochaguliwa kama wabunge, magavana, maseneta na vile vile viongozi wa vyama. Na nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni kwa kufika hapa, vile vile Mheshimiwa Sunkuli, asante sana. Wananchi wapendwa, tuwapatie nafasi viongozi hao. Kwa hivyo viti vilivyoko katika mrengo wa mbele, wa kwanza, wa pili, wa 3 na wa 4 zisalie wazi kwa viongozi hao. Na niombe maafisa wa itifaki mtusaidie kwa kazi hiyo, ili viongozi hao ambao wako wengi walioandamana naye kinara wetu mpendwa wapate nafasi. Mwisho, nitaomba tunapojipanga kama wanahabari tuzingatie sehemu tulizotengewa, na vile vile tufate maagizo ya maafisa wa itifaki. Asanteni sana kwa kuitika mwito huu wa siku ya leo kama Wakenya wazalendo.
IEBC, or is it a tally that's arrived by chairman by his own individual capacity? Because the issue here is those results were they being declared in his individual capacity as a chair, or were the results a part of what had been processed by the entire commission to lend credence to his actual proclamation that indeed here are the results? So that is where the question of law will be telling.
In regard to the 4 commissioners who gave a dissenting, but were dissent, or rather did not agree with the results that were declared, was there another option for them to actually, come out and pinpoint this, or could we only have it through a presser? Was there another way to seek redress in the matter?
From what I heard, and I believe all this will end up in the affidavits, from what I heard from them is that they tried to actually have the chair come on board. They tried to reach him out. They tried to have some sort of repair or postmortem of what was coming in, and trying to look at these the actual results. Is there an infiltration? What is happening? But from what they say is that the chair actually overruled them, did not give them an ear, did not want to hear them out, did not want to participate in what they had raised, and they were left with no alternative but to do a presser and distance themselves from what was about to be announced at Bomas and say, listen, whatever will be announced, we were not a part of it. Let it be known to the world. Though, by doing a presser, you're just maybe basically informing the public, but it's in no capacity a legal position.
Yes.
So their legal position now will be addressed in court. And that is why I believe they've been enjoined as interested parties. So as then, whatever evidence they have as to what could have affected the end tally can be reduced into an affidavit, which can be tested in law, and which, of course, the courts will have the opportunity to actually look at and make a determined pronunciation based on legal principles. So. And I believe that's why they have been enjoined as interested parties to be able now to use a legal platform to now channelize their position.
Now, talking about ethics and moral grounding at that point, and looking at the situation, the country was very anxious, anticipating the declaration. Do you think it was right for them to address the citizens, or rather the voters, in such a manner? Would you tell me it's responsible?
It is within their rights, because they are Kenyans. Remember, IEBC, so much Kenyans, just like you and I. Wafula Chebukati is equally a Kenyan. So where they felt like we cannot embrace this position, I think from where I see, they had all the right to actually come and actually shed light on what they think is amiss, on what they think is being done wrong, and on what they think is right. Just the same way, I think Wafula was able to send out presser later on and say, listen, these gentlemen and I think ladies, this is what they wanted. He also came out
through the
he didn't keep quiet about it. You understand? So I believe they all Kenyans a better explanation than just they're doing the pressers, and
yes.
That's why now we have this particular matter before the court, where then they'll not only be doing the pressers, but whatever you say must be backed with solid, substantive evidence, which can actually now help not only the court but the entire country.
You've mentioned, Wakili, earlier there that also the court bases itself on some pronouncements, and I'd want to go back to, I think, Sunday, thereabout, where Wafula Chebukati was doing his brief, and he went further to mention that so far the voter turnout was around 65%, and around 84 constituencies use the manual register. The issue of the manual register, and this has put to the question, where are the votes, and where are the votes, or rather the numbers of those who participated in this process using the manual register? from your legal understanding, where does this put the numbers and the figures vis-a-vis the pronouncements from the courts before the election and the actual use of the manual register?
Yeah, you know, that is why there's a feeling that the entire process was shrouded in some sort of mystery, because even the pronouncements of the chair himself were not tallying with the finality in terms of the figures that he was trying to raise out there as the people who basically cast their vote. Remember, initially, the Azimio coalition had actually pressed for a manual register, whereas the Kenya Kwanza coalition had actually pressed for reliance on the electronic register. Remember, our election process, our voting process, the real casting of ballot is done manually. But it is only the identification of the transmission that is electronic. The Court of Appeal, just on the eve of the elections, came up with a ruling, but the ruling did not stop the use of manual register. It only said where, in cases, and there will not be many cases, but in cases where the electronic register is unable to function and the identification of the voters is quite difficult or impossible, then it laid out what to do. It said, now go to step 2, identify them using their ID cards, feed them into the KIMS, and if not possible, then now let's go to the manual register. So the manual register was actually allowed. The use of the manual register was actually allowed. So what Chebukati and his team ought to have done basically is to incorporate everybody who was electronically identified, manually identified, those who did their stuff manually, like I think Makueni was affected and some parts of Kakamega, and I think Garissa. They should form the entire part of the turnout, the people who came out to actually vote. So as a percentage figure is equally correct. But I think initially I'd say this figure only reflects those who are electronically identified, and it does not incorporate the people who are manually identified and proceeded to vote. So, and that is why there are a lot of cries that the exact figure is shrouded in mystery. You can't tell who won. The figures that were allocated to this person are not the right figure. So IEBC have been enlisted as respondents, and so they'll be able to come and make that position clear vis-a-vis the statement that had earlier on come from them in regard to the voter turnout and the final tally and the distribution of votes between the first 2 leading candidates. Yeah.
Now, we expect a showdown, and this is where, by default, we all become amicus.
Yes.
We'll get to learn some legalese, and we watch that, and the media is there to actually give and afford that coverage. Now, let's look at the teams that both sides have assembled, and maybe you can tell us what we should expect. We have from Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, we have a team of senior counsels that include Feroz Norwiji, James Orengo there, Philip Murgo, Professor Tom Ujenda, Otiende Amolo, Professor Ben Sihanya, Paul Mwangi, Tom Masharia, and Jackson Awele. Being a lawyer yourself, tell us, what should we expect from that particular team?
No, Jackson Awele is quite good in drafting. I think most of the paperwork, we know Rengo is good in his oratory skills. Same to Otiende Amolo. Mugo is equally good, and Paul Mwangi is equally good in drafting. And I mean, he's been around Raila Odinga for a while, and he basically, the good thing about him, he understands both the political aspect and now the legal aspect. He can be used as a conduit to actually, because remember, he was also one of the agents of Raila Odinga in the presidential tallying center that is at Bomas. So looking at that team again, is not their first time to appear before the Supreme Court. Look at Professor Ojenda. He has done several matters before the Supreme Court. They have both the skill and the legal depth and also the political acumen to be able to maybe pass their point across. And remember, the Supreme Court will not allow all of those people to argue or to bring about their points, because then they have very limited time.
Yes.
So I believe what the court does is to allocate every time its side, and then within that time you can now spread the time among yourselves. So as if you have 3 hours, then we'll do for 40, 45, whatever. You cover all the areas, but within a specific time. And each one of them, I believe, will be able to pick up a particular point which they feel they're very good in, and they're able to express it.
Now let's look at the other team, the Kenya Kwanza team, senior counsel. We also have Kioko Kilukumi, Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, Professor Kithure Kindiki, Dr. Muthomi Thianklu, Elisha Ogoy, my goodness, Katwa Kigan, Hilary Sigei, Abraham Singoe, and Omwanza Ombati. What is your take in regard to the constitution of that particular team?
It's really good. I believe Kilukumi has been around for a while. I heard Amenase may not be coming, so I don't know how true, because of conflict of interest, having acted for President Uhuru Kenyatta before when there were buddies with Ruto. So I don't know how true, but Ngati is quite seasoned. He's been before. He's done these petitions before, and I believe it's equally a good team. And the most important thing is not even the teams that are representing the various parties. The most important thing when it comes to this kind of petition is what kind of evidence
do you have?
You may have been there for a while. You may be good in whatever you're doing, but the court wants to look at the evidence. Give us evidence that the electioneering process was a farce. IEBC gave us evidence that you rose to the occasion.
Now, Wakili, let's hear what Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition leader, their flag bearer, Raila Odinga, has to say. This is a KICC. Now let's have a listen in.
Welcome, Your Excellency, sir.
Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a statement to release as the leadership of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya movement, following the filing of the presidential election petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya today, August 22nd, 2022. A short while ago, we successfully filed our presidential election petition at the Supreme Court of Kenya. The action we have taken is perfectly in line with the stipulations of our Constitution on resolving electoral disputes. It affirms our deep belief in constitutionalism, the rule of law, and a peaceful resolution of disputes, including high-stakes ones, like the presidential election. We have been shocked that as we prepared to go to court, others tried to stop us. Kenyans and all those who followed our campaign will recall that fighting and ending corruption in Kenya was a core agenda throughout our campaign as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. The presidential election results announced last week represent that continuing struggle, pitting the forces for democracy and good governance against the corruption cartels that are so determined that they will stop at nothing to take control of the government and this country. This is a do-or-die battle for the corruption cartels who have everything to lose should the forces of democracy take over. The corruption cartels are prepared to compromise electoral systems, bribe electoral officials, make security systems look other way, or even kill in order to find their way to power and their ill-gotten wealth and continue stealing from the public. We believe this is what happened in this election. For the sake of Kenya's future, the corruption network must not only be stopped, it must also be crushed. This attempted takeover of the country in this election has not been an isolated phenomenon. It has been in the works every election cycle. The corruption cartel has been intruding into our elections by not only financing specific candidates, but also by threatening or assassinating candidates and election officials. The corruption cartels have steadily been moving into manipulating electoral demands and suppressing the participation of voters who support rival political formations. Their activities that make it clear voters and votes do not matter have progressively reduced voter turnout in Kenya. At times, the cartels have triggered intense conflict between security forces and themselves as they strive to compromise elections. Slowly but steadily, these forces are killing our hard-won democracy and are trying to return Kenya into a one-party state in their own interests. We have seen the speed with which they have moved to buy elected leaders just within 1 week. After being denied the numbers at lower levels elections, like members of the National Assembly, members of the county assemblies and governors, these corruption cartels are working and buying leaders who have been elected on other parties' tickets to kill our democracy and also make the work of containing corruption at lower levels equally less effective. All these efforts have important political costs for our country, and they should not be underestimated. The corruption cartels know there are multiple benefits for them if they take over. Their members dealing in illegal drugs will thrive through greater ease in the transportation and distribution of drugs throughout the country. They will access intelligence information for more corruption. They will gain protection from the police for their leaders and their illegal activities. They will institute weaker or no restrictions at all for the money laundering, and they will ensure nobody else but them thrive. This potential array of favors for the cartels makes the capturing of government a profitable do-or-die venture for them. But it marks the beginning of the end of Kenya as we know it today. No nation, once captured by cartels, whether they be corruption cartels, drug cartels, gun-running cartels, or terror cartels, ever thrived or realized its full potential. The 2022 presidential election represents the most daring move by that cartel to overturn the wishes of the electorate. We refuse to allow Kenya to go that direction. It must not happen, and it will not happen. This is what the steps we have taken today and the ones we will take going forward are all about. To stop the corruption cartels from getting to the heart of our nation and government, the presidency, and to stop the corruption cartels from jeopardizing electoral health and democracy in our country. Otherwise, we'll have no country. Our supporters deserve the support of all our citizens and all the citizens and leaders of the world who believe in democracy, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. This is the time to walk the talk. And I want to add, nitasema kichache kwa Kiswahili. Leo tumefikisha kesi yetu mbele ya mahakama kuu taifa letu juu ya yale janga ambayo imefanyika katika uchaguzi ambayo tumefanya wiki mbili iliyopita. Tuna hakika ya kwamba tuko na ushahidi wa kutosha ya kuonyesha kwamba sisi ndio tulishinda uchaguzi huu. Imedhihirika wazi baada ya sisi kufanya uchunguzi na wale wengine ambaye walishiriki katika hiyo ulaghai kujitokeza kama Wakenya kusema maovu imefanyika hapa. Sisi wenyewe tuliitwa, tulipa pesa, lakini tuko tayari kutoa ushahidi, na ushahidi yuko hapa. Yale ambaye yamedhihirika siku hizi chache ambaye imepita ni kitu ambaye inaweza kuandikwa katika historia ya siku zijazo. Hatukukuwa hata na uchaguzi ambayo mtu anaweza kufurahia. Wale walanguzi, wawezi walikuwa wamo ndani ya kule ukumbi kule Bomas of Kenya. Hapo walikuwa wanabadilisha matokeo kutoka eneo moja na eneo lingine hapo na wanaingiza huko. Ukiona yale maovu walifanya siku hizo unaweza kushangaa. Na vile vile wakuu wa tume ya uchaguzi ukaongoza samaha. Tumesema ushahidi tuko nazo ya kutosha kuonyesha yale maovu yalifanyika. Na tumesema vile vile hata wakuu wafanyikazi wa tume ya uchaguzi wakaongozwa na yule mwenyekiti wao walifanya maovu mengi zaidi. Ukiona mwenyekiti mwenyewe akitofautiana na wanachama wake na kutangaza hata kama ma constituencies 31 kutoka yao walikuwa hajawekwa pale, na aibu kubwa kwa demokrasia ya Kenya. Lakini tunatoa shukrani kwa Wakenya kwa kusimama imara na vile vile kuonyesha utulivu wakati huu. Tunasema Wakenya wangoje wawe na subira. Maana yake tunasema subira huvuta heri. Tuna hakika ya kwamba mwishowe ukweli utajulikana, na hiyo ukweli itapata sisi huru. Kwa hivyo sisi nasema asanteni sana Wakenya wote pale kila mahali mko, hata marafiki wetu kutoka ng'ambo ambao wako hapa. Tungependa kuwasihi wawe na subira, usijiingize katika mambo ya siasa ya kindani ya Kenya. Watu wa Kenya wasuluhishe mambo yao kama Wakenya, na sisi tunaweza kusuluhisha mambo yetu. Asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki. Mungu ibariki Kenya. Thank you. Asante sana.